Welcome to episode 3 of the BrinkCast. Dad, how you doing? What do you got today?
Episode 3. Well, today we're going to talk about some music and music that inspired us as kids.
Oh, yes.
What do you got?
Well, I got some music that is currently inspiring me, but also there's a few things I came across in the sports world that happened this week that I would like to chat about. One little JT Miller talk, Canucks talk, and then a little bit of MLB talk, actually. It's off season, but pretty cool little doc I stumbled across yesterday. What else you got?
Well, I'm going to continue on with the what inspires us, and I'm going to go into music that influenced us and stuff, but I really want to talk about things that inspire us as human beings every single day of our lives, because there are things that can frustrate us, but I think there's a lot of things that inspire us that people kind of forget about and take for granted. So I want to touch on that today.
I love it.
Yeah, how's your week been?
Week's been good.
Have you been doing anything really exciting?
Yeah, we have. We're super right into the Christmas spirit here. Obviously,
Yes.
This point in the year, a lot of fun with baby girl. Been blasting Christmas music, and this is kind of the first year where I'm like completely all in, and I can't get enough of it. And I used to be kind of a bit of a Grinch when it came to Christmas music, but yeah, it's cool dancing around with Scotty in the kitchen, listening to some Christmas tunes. Been doing a lot of that. Navigating some infant or newborn acid reflux. So got some front row lesson to that, all that this past week, and had a little Christmas party yesterday with some friends. It's been a great week, man.
That looked amazing. We saw the video the other day of you singing to Scotty.
Oh.
It was awesome.
I don't even know which video that is.
Oh, really? You didn't see this video of you singing?
Oh, 12 Days of Christmas.
12 Days of Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny in that song?
If you go back in that video, sorry to cut you off, but if you go back in that video and you listen to yourself, there's a little Southern accent in there.
Oh.
I was like, I didn't know if I was listening to like Old Dominion or if it was sort of Old George Strait. I didn't know, but you have to go back and listen. It was pretty good.
That song, I think in total, that's probably like a 4.5 minute song. You got to run through all 12 days by the end of it.
And you keep going.
The funny thing about that song is, or I don't know if it's funny or weird, but it's all birds.
Yeah.
And then I think it's 5 golden rings. You think you're out of the
right,
You're
exactly.
finally getting something valuable, and then it's more birds. So
Exactly. Well, when I was a kid growing up, which this is part of the music thing, but there was SCTV. You were probably you don't remember what SCTV was.
No.
But it was a comedy show in Canada, and there was all the amazing comedians went through SCTV. John Candy, Eugene Levy, Catherine O'Hara, like all these people went on to be gigantic like stars on Saturday Night Live and in the movies and everything.
Yeah.
And there was Bob and Doug McKenzie.
Okay. Yes.
The Hosers.
Yes.
And they released a record in 80. Oh man, I can't remember.
You had the vinyl.
I got the vinyl. So
Yeah,
it's actually over there.
Okay.
And they did a version of that.
Oh man, we got to listen to that.
And it's hilarious. And they did a song on there with Geddy Lee from Rush called Take Off to the Great White North.
Oh, wow.
But they did a version of the 12 Days of Christmas, and it's absolute chaos.
Okay.
It's like one of the most Canadian things you could ever listen to. It's the best.
Yeah.
It's absolute. Anybody listening that had the record, which you got to admit you had the record, it was genius. You could play Beer Hunter. Oh, it was great. I'm flashing back now.
We'll have to give it a listen on.
Maybe we won't sing that version to Scott.
Yeah, no.
But we'll definitely give it a listen.
Yeah, no. When I thought I was kind of in private there. It's good to know Jess caught a video of it, but I like to explore the different genres and different accents. And,
I know, and you're very good at it.
Anyone who has been out with me on a couple occasions has experienced a couple different accents.
We know. We've seen you singing. We were at your wedding.
It's interesting. Yeah,
we've seen the act before. We all have it in us.
Yeah,
all of us in our family could pull that out at any moment.
That's good to know that it's on the internet. So
I don't know about that, but so that's a busy week with the acid reflux.
Yeah, it was a couple tough nights of sleep. Mom
probably almost no nights of sleep.
Yeah, Mom's an absolute rock star and handles a lot of that during the week. And yeah, it's not a fun thing, especially like kind of the first time you see your baby in pain. You're like, oh my, like you have no idea what it is, and you know it's basically trial and error, and to figure it out and everything. But she's doing well now, and that is just the first time in a long list of times that's going to happen. So
no kidding. I remember when you were 6 weeks old and had to be rushed to the hospital with a little case of RSV.
Yeah.
And man, that was one of the scariest things in my lifetime.
I know. Mom was telling me that story.
That was insanity. Yeah. No, as a parent, you wish you could just take all their pain and bear the brunt yourself and let them be okay. That's a normal parental feeling.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. The RSV is obviously crazy and a huge concern as a parent, and it is RSV season or whatever, so we're very cognizant of that, and so she's doing good. We've had a great last couple of days. We had a Christmas party yesterday we went to with all of our friends. She was a rock star, didn't cry at all, of course, showing off in front of our friends and everyone.
Nine kids. Did we count that right?
Child.
9 kids.
Yeah, I think
9 kids under 2.
Under 2.
That is insanity.
There's 2 that are just over 2 years old.
Wow.
But yeah, and it's
crowd.
funny watching the 2-year-olds because they kind of just run the show, and I was telling you earlier, they kind of seem so much more advanced than some of the other kids. But it's so fun watching them grow up and how fast it has happened. It's a lot of fun getting together with the friends, and we're a big family, so. It's cool to see them growing, and
that's amazing. Yeah. You guys have such an amazing group of friends. Like, that's incredible. When I see all that, it's unbelievable. And speaking of advanced, Scotty is playing mini sticks.
Yeah,
she's not even like 5 months old yet. Not even like she's playing mini sticks. Yeah. What's this all about?
Well, she's not playing per se, but
I don't know. She could have went top shelf. I saw the video. She could have.
So
she could have taken Dad there.
Grandpa Jay and Uncle Coop got Scotty her first mini stick net and twigs, and brought it over last night, and she was doing her tummy time, getting some exercise, and I broke it out, and I think I was having the time of my life, honestly. I
know you were.
Yeah.
I thought she was going to pull one of those Ovechkin moves for a goal where she was laying on her back and
she did grab for the stick, which was super cute.
She picked it up. I thought it was unbelievable.
Rolling the ball to her, watching her follow it. Awesome. Simple little thing that you'll find out you really love to do with your kid when you get the chance.
Yeah. So. And the context behind that is when Cooper, who's 12 now, was 3 months old, you and I went out and bought a mini stick net for him. We had no business doing that. We went out and bought a net, and we were like, oh man, we're going to play hockey with him. He's 3 months old. Yeah. Well, we played hockey with it, and we still have the net and the sticks.
Yeah.
Which is unbelievable. So we thought, well, when she's 3 months old, we were a little late to the game on that. But, we'll get her in the game.
Yeah,
hey?
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's amazing. So speaking of Christmas stuff and Christmas music, because it's going on all the time here at the music school, students are playing Christmas music, and it seems like they've been playing it for months now and stuff. But we put up some Christmas lights last week outside. We had to change all the Christmas lights outside. Have you ever done that? Do you guys have lights on the outside of your house?
I regretfully have to say that we don't have lights up currently. Yeah. This year's been a little crazy, and that's just a poor excuse. I need to put the lights up for sure. But the inside is fully decorated, thanks to Jess. So
there you go.
I need to get out there and put the lights up. But how did it go for you guys?
So here's the thing. So here's in my infinite wisdom, you have all summer between April and we had almost in October. It was still nice out to do this.
Yeah.
And we knew we were doing it. We knew we were changing all the lights out this year. We knew it was going to happen. I wait and started changing them just as it was getting a little colder, and we got them changed. And the front of our house is really high, and there's one part of the house where I actually have to get on the roof to string the lights at the top of the roof and hook them around a couple clips I have up there. So it's not like death defying or anything, but my wife thinks it is. But so we got the lights going, and the very first string of the lights, they're blinking. So do you know about the little red on the bulbs? So they come with these red bulbs, and the red bulbs are the blinker bulbs.
Okay.
So you just change out the blinker bulbs, and you put in a clear bulb, and it takes care of the blinking.
Okay.
So you think.
Yeah.
So one of the strands is blinking. All the other ones are fine. One's blinking. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll get out and do this tomorrow. Well, tomorrow there was a storm. Mm-hmm. So now I'm up on the ladder. Actually, first Laura got on the ladder in the storm and tried figuring it out and to no avail. And then the next day I got up on the ladder and fought with it, and it was a battle. It didn't make sense. Now I'm sure people are going, this guy's an idiot. It's just, but there was 3 red bulbs, and I took them all out, changed them all back, and then there's no lights. And I put each one back in one at a time, and there's 3 different circuits inside this thing, and then they all start blinking. And then finally, after a while, I don't even know what I did. And they're not blinking, but some of them aren't working. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to leave it. It's totally fine. And then with the snow cover on the roof, it actually kind of looks cool.
All right. Well, there you go.
So that's where we're at on the lights. And the outside of the house looks really nice. And that's all I did was put lights up. I didn't do anything. Like you said, on the inside, I'm not allowed to decorate. So, that's why everything looks really good. If I had to decorate, I think there might be a little Charlie Brown Christmas tree and then nothing else.
Yeah.
So that was, so the Christmas lights, that was kind of, our venture into being handy on that thing. But it was pretty fun. But it looks good now.
Maybe throw a reminder in your phone for next September.
Yeah.
Get out the
May.
Christmas lights and check them out and make sure you're ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. I felt, man, it was such a Clark Griswold moment.
Yeah.
Every time I go up there, I'm just like, I just have flashbacks of Christmas Vacation. And all the just all that stuff, and it's hilarious to me. But anyways, that was some of the excitement in the Christmas. I'm sure there's going to be more in the next few weeks. But
oh yeah, well yeah. I mean, it's always tough. You never know the weather you're going to get, and we kind of pushed it.
Yeah,
as far as you could with the good weather. And of course, got dumped on, and then Jay's got to get out with the fight with the
ladder.
Lights,
yeah,
so.
Exactly. Yeah,
you live and learn, my friend.
That's exactly. Well, you do and you don't. At 55, I should know better. But hey. There's no good stories if you.
That's right.
if you don't do it that way.
It's kind of nice to do it the hard way sometimes, build a little character.
And when it's cold out, you work faster.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
You have no choice.
That's right.
I don't put yourself behind the 8 ball. Yeah. Oh, hey, I've got one more thing before I get on here. So the last episode 2, we were talking about the walking pad, the treadmill that we got.
Yes.
How's
the walking going?
I'm
crushing it.
I am going to say that all of us in the house have been using it.
Okay.
Coop was the first one to go full in on it, and then that sort of subsided. But last week, 4 of the 5 days, I was up before everybody else walking.
Nice.
Watched a great yacht rock documentary.
Nice.
Watched some other music stuff on YouTube. But I've walked I don't know how many. I've probably been on it about 9 times now, which is really good. I'm proud of myself.
No, that's awesome.
And I'm going to go back in. And I got to keep it going. But it's really fun. I really like the obviously I like walking. It's great.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how boring that would be. But it's really
dash 35 out.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. We got to get you a Fitbit or something, counting your steps.
Well, I keep my phone in my pocket.
There you go.
I keep my phone in my pocket, so I do keep track of it. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So, anyways, just a little update on that I did. Didn't just unbox it and then.
Yeah, I'm still out there grinding with the dogs outside. I did.
And it's treacherous out there.
I did finally succumb to the pressure from Jess to get some slip-on cleats.
Ooh.
And she picked those up at Costco for me today.
Nice.
So early.
You must feel like Marshawn Lynch or something out there with the cleats on.
Well, I'm going to tomorrow morning. Yeah, I haven't tried them out yet, but yeah, I'm gonna be running 40s out there. Probably not, but yeah, it's kind of treacherous out there with the snow and today rain and just gritty December weather in Saskatchewan and.
We knew it was coming, though.
Nothing new to us.
Won't stop anybody. People are still going to hockey tournaments and still, traveling when it's safe. We obviously check the highway hotline and stuff. But yeah, people still keep going.
Yep, absolutely.
That's what happens.
Got to do it.
Exactly. Well, it's good you got some cleats. So you'll be safe.
Yeah.
Safe out on the walks.
Safe. And it's funny you said Clark Griswold. Right by our house, there's a blow up Clark Griswold. Christmas decoration and someone has on their lawn.
Oh, come on.
Hilarious. I took a picture of it.
I did not even know that existed.
But my one dog, he's Banks, he's an Australian Shepherd, English setter mix, but he's a goofy guy, is kind of the best way to say it. But we were walking by and of course he thinks it's a real guy, so he's barking his head
Freaking
off
out.
as we're inches away, and this guy's looking at him. So
I love it. I've got to go check that out.
Yeah, but
and I don't mean check it out to buy one, but possibly check it out to buy one.
Yeah. I don't know about that. I think you're the Clark Griswold of your house.
Hey, there we go. I got to get a metal sled and spray the stuff on it and go jetting down from the movie. I love that movie.
Yeah,
I love that movie.
Yeah,
that might be my favorite Christmas movie. That and Elf's a good one.
Yeah, I mean Elf's a classic.
It's a classic. Yeah.
Grinch, another classic.
Yeah.
What else is there? I mean, I always consider, I know we chatted about it last week, we watched it already, but Miracle as a Christmas movie, it's not really, but watch it at Christmas time. And I'm just trying to think of a newer one that had come out recently. The best ones are the ones like before 2010, I would say. Like
the Home Alones.
Yeah,
like that sort of thing.
The Grinch, Elf. Then obviously you got Christmas Vacation, classic.
Yeah.
Oh man, what's the one? Christmas Story.
Christmas Story.
That is a classic. That is another VHS that I had at home.
Oh yeah.
Growing up, so remember that one.
There's so many. We watch every year. Coop. Years ago we found this, and it was a Madagascar Christmas. And there was different stuff. There was like a Shrek one. It's called Shrek the Halls, and it's really funny.
Oh yeah.
And stuff. But we watched the one. It's the penguins, the penguins of Madagascar, and it's called the Christmas Caper.
Okay.
And it's like 11 minutes long. I think it's hilarious. There is stuff in there that is so like adult, and the kids don't even realize. It's brilliant.
Yeah,
if you can
it's
find
funny
it
when you watch those shows back as an adult, and you're like, wow,
unbelievable.
How is this a Christmas show?
Yeah, it's a really good one. So we've been watching that, and we've been watching Prep and Landing. Have you ever watched Prep and Landing?
No, I haven't.
It's really cool. It's these elves that help Santa save Christmas, and it was a really good story. And we ended up finding it. I think we ended up finding it on Disney the other night. Every year it moves around like so many of these shows do, and we've been watching that. So yeah, in the next few weeks, it's going to be full on watching all the Christmas stuff, which I'm actually pumped about. I'm really excited.
I'm super pumped about it. And
man, and when Scotty gets to be old enough that she'll be able to watch these things, like,
oh man, yeah, I can't wait.
Come on.
Well, I can wait.
Yeah. Slow her down, but it's good.
Yeah,
it's
man.
Good.
I was watching. Didn't get the chance to watch too much hockey this week, but the Canucks are doing good. Obviously, that's our squad, and they're hoping to have JT Miller back in the lineup along with Thatcher Demko shortly, which will be a massive boost. Those are probably two of the most important players. So
no kidding. And are they in third now? This morning they were. I don't know what.
Third
in the Pacific, which is pretty good. And I think they're back a couple games on some teams too. I think
it seems like they're still figuring it out. There's a few guys that are still trying to fit in the lineup, but Jake DeBrusk sure looks good, and obviously Kiefer Sherwood.
Man, and Garland. Garland is just
to drive the bus on that team. He's so fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're all coming into their own, like you're saying. Like they're all sort of working through it, and Tockett's getting them, really, really motivated and stuff. And like even like Tyler Myers and like guys are just really, really playing for each other.
Yeah,
which I really like to see that.
It's been nice to see since he's taken over how hard they play for him. And there's a lot of noise around that team, obviously, with JT Miller, the JT Miller situation, and obviously it's rather negative, or has been rather negative, just with the speculation and everything, and people continue to speculate. But there was trade rumors this week, but the Canucks GM Patrick Alvin came out and said not being traded, which is good news for us Canucks fans. But hope he's able to battle back from whatever he's going through and make a return to the ice, because JT is a fun guy to watch.
Oh yeah,
and he's gonna be key for them going forward throughout the winter and hopefully into the spring and summer. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's been fun to catch up on the games and stuff, even though a lot of them are blacked out here, which is really, I'll never understand that, but it's kind of bizarre. But we listen to it on 650. Is it 650?
Yeah.
On the radio with Brennan Batchelor, and they're great. They're really good. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun to watch a team like that.
Yeah.
That can battle.
Yeah, it is.
I love it.
I think Thatcher dressed as a backup on Friday, so that'd be unreal to get Thatcher Demko back. But even that Kevin Lankinen goalie,
he's on
came out
fire.
of nowhere, and he's
like his road record is
like insane. I think he's like 12-3 or something. That could be wrong, but
no. I think he's way up there. Like the number is really a lot higher than I thought it was.
Oh, he's 13-4 overall. So 13 wins, 4 losses is crazy in 20 games played with 3 OT losses there as well. But I don't even know where he came from. I think Nashville last year. He must have been backing up Saros. And
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. We thought Shelovs was the guy in the playoffs last year. He looked good.
Yeah, he was solid,
and
obviously still is. Like he's going to be great.
Yeah, he's had a rough go of it this year, but
he had a lot of playing time down in Abbotsford.
He's a young kid. Pretty incredible what he did last year, though, coming in just out of nowhere as a third guy, and was kicking very hard for that Canucks team. So goaltender depth shouldn't be an issue, and we got arguably a top 3 goaltender coming back for the Canucks here shortly. So looking forward to seeing what December and January bring for the old Tunas in Vancouver.
Yeah. The old Tunas, I love it.
I don't know.
I love it.
It's kind of an inside thing with me and a buddy of mine.
That's so great.
It's a fish. So
the old Tunas.
Never really understood why. I mean, I get it, Orca, Pacific Ocean, but.
Yeah.
The Canucks isn't that a Canadian? Like, what are we doing here? So I call them the Tunas. It's a little more fun to say than Canucks.
Of course, I like it. It's better than the Utah Hockey Club. Is that what they're called?
The Utah HC.
Yeah, right.
HC Utah.
That's right.
Very European. Yeah.
Why not?
That's a cool story. That team. I don't know if you know the owner Ryan Smith at all, but he owns the Utah Jazz as well.
Okay.
And I think he's like mid-40s. And this guy
really?
is a billionaire. And crazy story, actually.
Like
Dad,
he owns an NHL and an NBA team.
Yeah, Utah Jazz. And
what?
He was, I don't know if this is just off the top of my head, so I don't know the company name, but he sold a tech company that he created with his dad.
Yeah.
And his dad had throat cancer. There's more to this story, but the basis is his dad had throat cancer, and he was working on this project, and I think he had it in the works for a while. But anyways, Ryan dropped out of college or quit his job. He's living elsewhere at the time, moved back in with his dad. They start this company, sell this company to like businesses across the world. It blows up.
Really?
And now he owns the Utah Jazz and now the Utah Hockey Club. So this guy's
no idea about that story.
He's 46 years old. He's worth $2.2 billion. So
what?
But yeah, I heard his story on another podcast, and it was it's a crazy story. So I would urge
man
to dive into that. It seems like a pretty cool guy, and pretty cool story there with
no kidding.
Dad, so
it's always interesting when you get an expansion team in any league. And things change. And
especially this one where
who owns it, right?
Yeah. And it came together so quick. Like it was kind of a last year thing. I think in like February even, where Gary Bettman was like, "Okay, it looks like Arizona's not gonna be able to get their arena situation figured out. How quick can you get a team there?" And he's like, "Yeah, next year." So,
yeah, that's
a crazy story, and
that's unreal.
I don't know. I haven't seen too many of Utah's games.
No, I have. There was one, I think the other night on TV, there was one, and I was going to watch. Were they playing Toronto? I can't even remember who they were playing the other night on TV.
Yeah.
And I was curious, but obviously didn't. I think, I ended up, I did a thing with Coop's hockey team and wasn't around to watch it. But wow, what a great story.
Yeah.
That's just wild, the owners thing. Like I'm following the MLB, like all the talk right now with the Red Sox and the Yankees and the Mets and the Dodgers and the Blue Jays with the Juan Soto thing, which the news could probably come down tonight while this is going on. But it's just crazy when you hear of these owners like John Henry from the Red Sox and Steve Cohen from the Mets. Like these guys are like so unbelievably rich. Like it's just not even like just barely in the billions. It's crazy the money these guys have.
Yeah, it's basically like fantasy sports for these guys. It's
unreal. Like John Henry is part of the Fenway Sports Group.
Yeah.
And they own the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah.
And they own, I can't remember which team it is in the European Soccer League. And they had share, like, it's just, it keeps going on, and it doesn't even sound real. Like, when you hear this, you're like, I can't even fathom, just the idea of that sort of thing. And I guess to own any team like that, that's how you get there. And then to sustain it, sometimes you maybe take a couple bumps and bruises, but I don't think you take much.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think you're, I mean, it's hard to say. I wouldn't think you're profiting, but I mean, depends what league, I guess.
Yeah.
NFL is going up and to the right constantly. So
yeah,
they continue to grow. It's
interesting.
What's the scoop on Juan Soto? You were hearing?
Well, he's a free agent.
Okay, yeah.
And then all these teams are vying for his services for next year, and they've narrowed it down to 5 teams. It's the who have they narrowed it down to? The Red Sox, the Yankees, the Mets, the Blue Jays, and the Dodgers. And he had played last year with the Yankees. He had played with the Padres before that, which a couple years ago we saw him play in Toronto. I didn't even realize that until the other day. I was like, hey, we went to a game a couple years ago and he was playing for the Padres. And then he played for the Nationals before that and won a World Series when he was 19. Yeah, he's still a kid. He's like 25.
Yeah, that's wild.
And I think they're up right now in like it's like a 15-year, $700 million area of the contract, which is
just like
crazy.
Lifetime
crazy money. $50 million a year for 15 years and all the other contractual like opt-outs, and it's kind of nutty. But he's a generational talent.
Sounds like the Dodgers to me.
Yeah, well, it's so hard to say, and then I think Steve Cohen from the Mets, who has the most money of all of them, just sits back and waits, and then he just kind of throws it at the wall, which that team's great, Lindor and Diaz, they've got a great lineup, but I don't know. I think I don't know. I don't know what I'd do in that situation. If I'm going somewhere for 15 years, I'd want it to be the right place.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
The money, you get all the money in the world and then realize after year 1, wow, I'm stuck.
Yeah.
And this team has no more resources to win a World Series, and I'm just kind of the guy that took all their dough.
Yeah.
I don't know. That always kind of cracked me up.
Yeah,
I remember back in the day we had talked about Gretzky and stuff, and I remember way back when he signed $1 million contract, and that was astounding for sports.
Right.
Like that was the first time that had really ever happened, and it was just like, wow, like he's making $1 million, and now it's like that's the league minimum in so many things now, right?
Oh yeah, like
it's off the charts.
I don't know what the entry level contract is right now, but I think it's got to be close to $1 million.
Yeah,
maybe 750.
750. I think it's in the NHL. You're talking.
Yeah,
yeah. I think in the NHL, I think it's about 750.
But if you think about that, that's crazy.
Like that's still insane.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like that's still kind of nutty. But yeah, that's a whole other world. That's that's the business side of the sports thing that is different. And obviously, following the game, you don't have to know the financials or know their tax returns or anything like that. Yeah. It's more intriguing to just watch the game and not worry about. That's their job, I guess. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You go to the stadium and buy the drinks and the food and everything, and pay the ticket prices, and
that's right.
It goes in their pocket.
Yep.
Somehow, some way. So, what else you got for some sports? You had a few items you were thinking about here.
Yeah, I don't know why MLB's front of mind for me right now, but yesterday
because it's the middle of winter, and when we think about baseball, we think about green grass and sunshine.
Yeah, I know. I was laying down with Scotty yesterday, having a nap. She was napping, little contact nap for the dads out there. And I just, I've been reading a little bit more, which is good, of course. And, sit on my phone. And yesterday I was like, let me see what's on Netflix. And don't usually watch a lot of Netflix, but I stumbled across this 25-minute documentary called The Turnaround. And it's all, I know you watched it since I said it, but for our listeners, you got to check it out if you're a sports fan or a baseball fan, of course. But
or a human being.
Yeah, really,
like
it is
really
a very
crazy.
It is a very deep story, and it gets pretty heavy, and it's only 25 minutes long. So it basically etches out this fan from Philadelphia, John McCann, I think his name was, and he obviously diehard Philly fan. Philly fans have a reputation for being, what would you say, like the nastiest, the grittiest. They're passionate, obviously, but they throw snowballs at their own players. They throw batteries at opposing players, all these different
It's
things.
crazy. And I didn't realize, not to interrupt the story, but I didn't realize that team has been around for so long. 2 World Series. I had no idea they had only won it twice.
That was kind of surprising.
Kind of blew my
to
mind
me as well. But it follows this fan who's a passionate fan and through the 2023 season. And it goes through kind of this fan, John McCann, the main character, the narrator in the story, his life and his kind of what he goes through on a daily basis, and talks about some mental health stuff and things he was going through in previous years and at the time last season. But basically, the Phillies had this shortstop, Trey Turner shortstop, right? They paid $300 million for him,
a lot,
and which is a lot. Signed him, and he was severely underperforming last season, basically from the jump until August, which is that's a lot of games. You're playing in that stretch, and he's supposed to be, this top of the order guy, very defensively sound player, and things were just not going, and it seemed to just snowball and just get worse, and his performance just suffered. And fans started to get on him, and being the passionate fans they are, they see a $300 million player underperforming. They thought this guy was going to be
at $300 million,
so good.
You don't get a lot of leeway.
No, you don't get a lot of leeway. No, absolutely not. And Trey Turner was a great player before he signed with the Phillies, so it's kind of crazy the kind of fall off he had at the start of the season last year. But anyways, this fan, John McCann, threw out a TikTok video before a weekend series last August. I don't know. I can't remember who they were playing in Philadelphia.
I can't remember either.
But,
I watched it, and I meant to pay attention to who it was.
Yeah,
but I was wrapped up in the story.
He put out this TikTok video, and it got picked up, kind of went viral, at least in Philly. And he basically made a call to action to give Trey Turner a standing ovation every time he comes to the plate over the series this upcoming weekend. He's basically saying, like, we know how bad he's been. Like, he doesn't need to hear it. He needs to get out of this, because they're kind of just, everyone's watching this human being just struggle at his craft in real time, which is a wild thing to think about. And as a fan, sometimes we forget that these athletes are human. And I kept putting myself in his shoes, and I can't imagine going to the plate every time. And it's like, that all 50,000 people are waiting to see if you're going to continue to screw up or if you're going to get out of it. And anyway, so the Friday night game, his first at bat, comes to the plate, and everyone stands up, and he kind of acknowledges it, but he's kind of like, oh, this is wild. Like, I think he had probably heard from around town and stuff, because he was getting a lot of buzz that it was maybe going to happen. And then when he gets out there and sees it, you kind of see the look on his face, like, oh, this is wild. And then, of course, that at bat, he gets out of his slump he was in with a base hit, and he continued. I think he had another hit in that game, and then the following game, I think he won the game on a 3-game homer. It was to go up with a 3-game homer, and it was just like that exact moment he was back. And then he went on an incredible run for the rest of the season. I think he hit 17 homers in the last 2 months of the season, which is crazy. And his defensive game was back, and he literally just snapped out of it right in front of everyone's eyes, simply because this fan encouraged the Philly fanatics over there to give this guy a standing O. And it's such a cool story and such a cool thing to see. And like, obviously MLB and Netflix, there's footage of all of Trey Turner's games and him. There's a lot of bad highlights in those footages, but you can see how heavy it's weighing on him. And then when he gets out of it, it's like the weight is lifted off his shoulders, and he's him again. So I urge you to check it out. It was a pretty cool story, and it actually got pretty deep with John McCann's life and struggles, and it was super cool to see how he had influenced that player. And actually, at the end of the show, it ends with John McCann being on the field for the home opener of this season, and the Phillies reached out to him after all this had happened and allowed him the opportunity to greet the players. And Trey was the last one out and went up to him, gave him a hug, and said, "Thank you for everything that you've done And like that is just crazy as a fan who put out a video.
Yeah.
And like this guy was as hard as anyone on Turner and the Phillies in general before that. And just turned this guy's whole season around. And it's crazy to think that something like that can do that. But it was very romantic part of baseball. I love those moments, and that's a good one. So
what was the story like when you sent the link and you said you guys got to watch this, and Coop and I were around, and I was like, this we got to watch this right now. I could tell you were like, you guys need to watch this. So I gathered Coop up and I was like, Coop, we got to watch this. Ty says we got to watch this thing, so we're watching it, and the story was amazing. But what amazed me was watching my 12-year-old watch this, and he's so engaged and he's so taken in by the story, and not just the fact that this baseball player had things turn around and then everything was fine. The whole idea that it was going so bad and something so bizarre, something so out of the ordinary turned it around. Like it was wild just watching him go, how did that even happen? Like how did that work? Like, it's amazing seeing the process, but it was unbelievably shot. Like it was the way the story was told was unreal. You're wrapped in to this guy's world totally. You know how fanatical this guy is about the team, how passionate he is about the team, but you also realize that this guy's just a real human being living and struggling every day.
Yeah.
And struggling like pretty bad. Like, there was a lot of scenes where it was like, man, it wasn't the most friendly thing, but and he just happens to be sitting in his car and send out this message.
Yeah.
And the part I loved was, he was getting a lot of tough love. And a lot of times people think like, the whole motivation through intimidation thing that can work for some people, in life to do that. But a lot of people, it doesn't really work that way. And he said he's had enough tough love. He needs some real love. So that was sort of the message behind it. And then was it a radio station that or someone spread the word a little further than
radio
him?
Stations picked it up.
Man, and, it was unreal. Like you could just feel it. And it was, I don't know that when you first see, and not to give it away for everybody, like they've got to watch it. It's super impactful. Yeah. But when you watch him come to the plate that first time, he looks like super confused. Like he's not sure what's going on.
Yeah.
But could you imagine the weight it just takes off your shoulders going, man, these people aren't waiting to like throw stuff at him there. And then he hits that first single.
Man, and then it's on.
And and like he's standing on first base and probably feeling like, and then at the end of the season, they came within 2 games of going to the World Series.
I know. Yeah, which
is crazy. Like the whole team, like that, and that team is a juggernaut. Those Schwarber and
Harper.
Oh man, like what a lineup. And Dave Dombrowski kind of running the show, which he ran the show for the Red Sox back in the day and stacked that team up. Like, they were destined to be great. But when one guy like that starts sliding, holy, does it make an impact on everybody. But when one guy like that gets rolling,
man,
you just see these guys jumping around like little kids.
Oh, it's
the best.
It's crazy. That's good. Coop watched that. I remember watching him in baseball. I mean, long season, you're gonna have high points, low points. But when he's going through a little bit of a slump or whatever, he's just like I am, super hard, self-deprecating, like, and it gets heavy. It gets heavy, and it's hard to get out of that mindset until you get some positive momentum going, and it helps a lot if that momentum sometimes it needs to come externally. And I know for me, and I know Coop's probably the same way. But it's such a good story of resilience, and then just what showing a little kindness can do. And I'd be interested to know like how many baseball players have received standing ovations when they're batting below 200,
exactly.
That doesn't happen. And it happened in Philly, which is even crazier. But
well, you could be batting 800 and the fans would still not be standing for you because they'd be waiting for you to draw. Like it's just such a twist.
Yeah.
The positive, negative of all the things and the expectations from the fans. And it's like, again, like you said, like he's a human being. Like this guy probably went home some days and they were probably darker days than a lot of people have ever had. Like this guy has got a lot of money, but at that point it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he feels like he's letting everybody else down. Like I can't even imagine. And when he said that at the end, that was like, I was just like the floodgates just opened.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, come on.
Yeah, I know.
And even Coop was like, he was getting a little choked up. Not really, but he was, you could tell that it was getting him. Like he was, which is good because then, when you're having stuff that's not going well, now you have a what if, and you can look back and go, man, remember that story about that guy? And but it was that was a great.
Yeah, it's a great show. I'm gonna watch it again. It's funny, Philadelphia. So Philly Eagles. You don't follow NFL, obviously, but they're 11-2. They're great team, like juggernaut of the NFL. One of them, and their coach Nick Sirianni still gets just shredded on Philly sports radio, and even at games he gets into it with the fans when they win because they're giving it to him the whole game, and he's like basically FUing them back. It's just a crazy sports culture in Philadelphia, but I love it, and I love their passion, and Phillies, man, they're a fun team to watch though, like you said.
No kidding. Well, and then you look at the Flyers, right? And Tortorella's coaching there. So you just have all these all these hurricanes ready to go off at any moment in that city. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, their sports team sure do embody that city, I would say. And I think that's just by metamorphosis, being in that city and being in that environment.
Oh, man. Well, it explains a lot about the Broad Street Bullies back in the 60s.
Definitely their hockey team.
Oh, man.
Likes a certain type of player.
Abs of Bobby Clark and those guys. Oh, my goodness gracious. You just realize it's like, okay, that's how you get by in that city, I guess, is just playing that way.
Did Tocchet
just
play
become
for
one of them.
Philly?
I think he did. I think he did he had a stint there.
I could be daydreaming right now.
No. But even the 76ers, right? Like if you look at that team and the players that played on that team, like you got to have grit to be in that town.
Yeah.
It'd be like playing in like a Boston or New York, like a big city where everybody really, really cares. Or you could play in a big city where no one cares.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. I'd rather play where they care.
Yeah. Tocchet was actually drafted by Philly.
He was,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, go figure.
His first season, he played 75 games, 14 goals, 25 assists, 179 penalty minutes.
Wow, that's pretty respectful.
This guy had like 200 PIMs in his first. Yeah, that's crazy.
Gee.
He had 200 PIMs in 4 of the first 5 seasons in the league. He
played the game.
And he's still scoring like 30, 40 goals.
Yeah, that's why he's the leader.
Love it.
On the Canucks, man. No, that's great. The MLB stuff. Getting pumped for after the Christmas thing, opening day, it's a countdown.
Yeah.
It becomes, it's not long until spring training.
Pitchers and catchers report in February.
It's like, oh, man, here we go.
Yeah.
I can't wait to
It's like Super Bowl happens, and then baseball fires up. Hockey's in the race to the finish. Yeah, it's a good time in dreary February. We'll be there soon enough.
Yeah, a lot of sports going on. And Scotty will be like 6 months old.
Oh.
That'll be unbelievable, eh?
I don't understand that.
That'll be incredible.
Yeah.
Was there any more sports stuff?
I don't have much else on the sports. Ravens are on a bye this week, so I can't chat Ravens.
There you go.
Yeah.
They'll be back right away.
Fantasy football team this year in one of my leagues, I finished the year 10-4. I was 10-2 and lost the last 2 games, so that's not great going into the playoffs. But see what we can do with old Himmy Cooks in the playoffs. That's my squad, Himmy Cooks. So hopefully my guys figure it out here.
Get it together.
Yeah,
that's good. Okay, I'm gonna switch gears on us. Can I switch gears?
Sure.
Just right out of that, like I'm just gonna like pull the carpet right out from under us.
You definitely.
So I want to talk some music.
Oh.
So I think you like music, right?
Music.
You like music, okay? So music has been is a big part of our family, obviously, and I make a living as a musician, and my wife does the same, and it's a big part of our family, big part of everybody's family. And I honestly believe we'll talk about this in other episodes, but I honestly believe music and sports teaches us probably 95 to 98% about everything in life. Through music and sports and the mental and physical act of both activities. But anyways, I wanted to talk, I was thinking lots, and I think about this lots, but I was thinking lots in the last while about music that influenced my life. Mm-hmm. And since we started this podcast, I thought it was interesting because I was like, okay, music that influenced my life, and I believe I and I think this is actually a fact, but between the ages of 12 and 18, we are the most impressionable in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Right?
You mentioned that
those
last
sorta
week, and it definitely rings true.
Grade 7 to grade 12
I know
years
for
are
me
huge.
especially, that's, yeah. And they're almost like core memories that kind of stick with you throughout your whole life. And yeah, obviously you learn and grow after that, but those are sometimes you recall
figuring out a lot of stuff.
Definitely influenced a lot by what's going on in the world at that point in your life.
Yeah,
so.
for sure. And you're fighting for some independence, but you don't sometimes want to be fully independent, but you want, like, it's tricky.
Fighting for your right to party.
Fighting for your right to party. Well, funny you should mention that. So when I look back and I was 12, when I turned 12, it was 1981.
Oh yeah.
I know, that was a long time ago.
Curly blonde hair still.
That was a long time ago. Oh, it was 19, so when I was 12, I probably had a perm. I had natural curly hair, but I got my hair permed. Yeah, it was pretty deluxe. I should have a grade 7
I
picture
got
here.
shamed when I wanted to get a perm in grade 4.
Oh, well.
No, actually I didn't. That was all in my head. I did get a perm though in grade 4. It didn't work out how I expected it to. Yeah. It was more fro-y than anything. But
my mom, I think my mom wanted me to have the curliest hair on the planet because I had natural curly hair and my hair was very curly. But every day before school, she would curl my hair.
Oh, that's
It's a true story. I know it's a true story. I'm gonna get mocked for this now, but it's a true story. So in 1981, I was 12.
Yeah.
And 1987 was when I finished high school. I was 18.
Sidney Crosby was born that year.
Oh, jeez. Okay. We don't need somebody going in for a hip replacement here. Okay. So in those years of music and sports, I was playing hockey then and stuff and baseball and everything. But the music at that time, man, did that have an impact on me. And that was like the stuff that came out at that time that was new because it was the early 80s. So the 80s was sort of like coming out of, the 70s sort of disco-y thing, and really got the pop thing really started coming in the 80s, and technology, the drum machines and the synthesizers and all that stuff. Yeah. So in the 80s was, bands like, the Cars, and then in high school became like Appetite for Destruction was released.
Oh, okay.
And the Bon Jovi records
started getting a little heavier.
Exactly. And all the hair metal stuff became like Motley Crue, and all those big records came out right in that pocket of time. But then there was also another side of music going on, sort of the soft rock. They're referring to it now as yacht rock. But a whole bunch of other bands in that sort of world. The Michael Jackson stuff was coming out. His solo stuff started coming out. And there was a band that ended up being, and still is, probably my favorite band to date, and for obvious reasons from all the stuff they played on it. But the band was Toto.
Yep.
And man, they played on a ton of records, and they were amazing musicians. The three brothers that were in the band, Steve, Mike, and Jeff Porcaro, unbelievable. But man, it's just amazing when you think back to that music and you hear that music and how it just like grabs you, and you could remember like a lot of things that were even going on at that time. Oh, yeah. Like old Hall & Oates tunes. Like the other day I heard Private Eyes and Kiss on My List, like all these things. I remember going like roller skating in grade 7 and 8 at a place in town called the Great Skate. Yeah. And these songs were just like, they were just embedded in my like my soul. And I wasn't even playing drums yet. I hadn't started drums until the first Saturday of grade 9 and had been asking for a lot of years to play. But this was before that even. I was like, it just taken in by this music, and it really had a huge influence on my, obviously a lot of things I do now, as it does to everybody. But it's really funny how you hear that music and it just grabs you. Like when you were a kid, like those ages, like when were you 12? In 05?
Yes.
05.
Quick math there.
So 05, yeah, right. Well, I have it right here.
Perfect. Yeah.
05.
2005.
2005 to 2011.
Yeah.
Was sort of that gap of time for you. Yeah. What do you recall anything in that zone?
Lots.
Of course.
Basically everything you just named there with like the later 80s stuff. Yeah. Guns N' Roses, AC/DC, I know obviously was before that, but what AC/DC record would have been coming out?
Well, Back in Black.
Okay.
Back in Black came out in like 80. I want to say 81. I don't have
so funny because
it's like 80. I'm sure it's like 81.
Those 80s tunes, that was like our in the dressing room before hockey. It's just 17 of those songs play it before every game.
That's the list. Yeah.
To CD.
Yeah.
And it's obviously TNT.
Yeah.
Back in Black.
Yeah.
What else? I could sing it, but I don't know the. Come on, feel the noise.
Come on, Feel the Noise by Quiet Riot. Yeah.
Girls.
I'd be jamming that out in the basement playing drums.
Yeah. So that was like my early years.
Yeah.
And probably my earliest memories was those, I don't know if you call them heavy, not heavy in today's standards, but I guess when they come out, a little heavier kind of. Were those pop songs back then, or was
Like that was played on FM radio. Like I remember in FM radio in Regina. I remember Z99 started in Regina. I think it was in 1982, and before that, I had been listening to like AM radio, like CJME and stuff, and they would play all the current sort of day pop stuff. But FM really started playing more of the outside the box stuff. But those were all radio hits.
Yeah.
Like burning up the radio.
Yeah. All of those. I'm just trying to think of Paradise City. I remember the first time I heard that song it was at hockey, and I was like, and there's a few guys that knew it, and all the coaches knew it obviously, so they're singing it, and I'm like, what is this? And then
what has happened?
And then it kind of opened my world to the rest of the music that we would listen to, which turned into, getting some CDs, and obviously Nickelback was huge at that time, and still enjoy Nickelback today. And there's some songs that are like right in my wheelhouse from that time,
Silver
like
Side.
Silver Side. I remember getting that album for Christmas at Grandma Thelma's house, and I still remember it, looking at it with the eye on it and everything, and ton of those songs. So obviously that was kind of my first, and then it kind of branched into the more of the punk rock stuff. Well, punk rock at that time, I guess people probably, I don't know what you call it, pop punk, I guess, like Blink and
Green Day.
Green Day,
absolutely,
was big, and who else? Good Charlotte. So that was probably grade 6, 7. So all that stuff went through that era, and then obviously got into hip hop, rap. And it's funny, like going into high school, it kind of came full circle by grade 12 in my second last year of hockey in midget. I remember we had there was probably 12 Hall & Oates songs on the playlist, and it was those old, exactly what you're talking about, Private Eyes and Rich Girl, and all the hits, and so it's crazy how music from your generation has such a huge impact on not only mine but my generation, and it's funny how music works like that. It's kind of timeless in a sense.
It's crazy.
You find a song, like I was just talking about Luther Vandross before this episode, and kind of discovering that right now through Kendrick's newest album. So but that time was crazy. And it was a lot of that 80s rock that initially, and then obviously the pop punk stuff and hip hop, but it always kind of came back to that soft rock. And it's funny that you didn't mention that any country music. Were you kind of like, you listen to country so much growing up?
What's funny is when I growing up in our house, all we listened to was country music. Yeah. Like my family.
Like AM radio.
AM radio, 620 CKRM. Oh man, that's all that was on. And that was like, at my parents' house, at my grandma's house, like that was just the radio station that was on. And that seemed very familiar to me. Very like that was just the music that was going on. And you don't get to like pick, not pick the music you listen to, but you don't get to have a say until you're a little older, and maybe you get some records, or maybe you get control of the radio dial or something, and then you discover other things. Yeah. Like I remember it was probably grade 6 that, I really sort of realized there was other like music stuff going on outside of it, which is actually kind of funny, which seems kind of later, but it's funny because years and years later, playing music, and especially in this area, you would play country music, and there would be a lot of country bands and stuff. And I had a serious knack for just knowing all these old tunes, and all the older players they didn't know how I would just know this. But I grew up on that. Yeah. Like that was just
what
like
you
my
knew into a certain
oh my
point.
Goodness, it was familiar.
Yeah,
you'd hear it and go, oh yeah, I remember this song. I'm like, when did I hear this one? I was like 7, 8, I don't know, but I know it. It's
That's
Buck
interesting,
Owens, I know
because
it.
like I know the music you listen to. Obviously, you listen to a bit of country stuff now, but that's not your, I know you like the the Toto and the 80s stuff and even older and well, you like all types of music, but yeah, it's funny you play country music but it makes sense that you get some gigs even just from knowing that old stuff.
Oh my goodness, it was like
super cool.
It was that having that muscle of that stuff really got me a lot of work when I was a kid and a lot of like experience playing that. And even now, like there's things that'll come up now and some guys will be like, hey, we learned this old country song. I'm like, learned it? I've done that for like 40 years. What are you talking about? Just learned it. But it's unbelievable when you think back on that. Like if everybody took a chance and went, what was I listening to when I was 12 to 18? And you just think about all that stuff. Like you say, like in the dressing room at the hockey games, it's hilarious now when I go to the rink with Coop and being 55 and him being 12, I'm obviously older than a lot of the parents, not all the parents, but a lot of them. Yeah. So it's funny when you hear those songs played from the dressing room, and they still are.
Yeah.
And you just go, wow, like this is never going to go away.
Yeah.
Like Paradise City, that Appetite for Destruction record is never going to go away. No. And I remember the first time when it came out, we were at a house party. It was Corey Miller, a guy I went to high school with, super funny guy. We were at his house. We always used to go over there. And that day he had just got the cassette of Appetite for Destruction. And we like sat and we listened to the whole thing. And we listened to all of side A, and then he flipped it over and we listened to all of side B. And we weren't like distracted doing other stuff while it was on. We were actually like all just glued to this thing. And it was unbelievable. It was crazy. Yeah, and when I hear it now, that's what I think. Like in my mind, I'm like back at Corey Miller's house going, I remember hearing this for the very first time. And I'm sure people older might remember the first time, like on radio years ago, hearing a Frank Sinatra tune or hearing a Glenn Miller tune or a big band thing or something that grabbed you. Motown, all that music, disco, all that stuff, and it's just funny how that really sort of is ingrained in our head in sort of an influencing sort of way, that we take music in, which is unreal. And nowadays we could find any music anywhere. It's just so accessible.
Yeah, and it's almost like I feel like the way we consume music, it's great because it's more accessible and everything like that. But it's hard to get in the right state of mind to actually pay attention to the song and take it in for what it is. Yeah. I know it's rare in my life where I get some quiet time or I'm doing something and I need to zone in and throw on some music, and it's not you're consuming it fully instead of just background noise. But
active listening. Yeah.
A lot of the memories I have of music is super positive, and there's some songs that you hear and takes you back to, reminds you of a special person or a special family member, and it hits you hard the other way too. But it's music's an unbelievable thing. What do you listen to like right now these days?
Right now, I listen to a lot of stuff from teaching. Like I have students bringing in songs and stuff. But recently, what have I been listening to recently? I wish I had my phone in front of me because there's a couple new artists that I've been digging. I go back and forth. Like the new stuff. There's a couple new country things out that are really good. The new, it might sound kind of silly, but the new Gwen Stefani country record, I actually really dig it. It's really good. The production's really good on it. The playing is very good on it. I dig that. But then I'll go back and listen to, like I said, I just watched the Yacht Rock documentary, and I'll go back and listen to old Doobie Brothers or old Michael McDonald or Steely Dan. I'm playing Steely Dan with a bunch of students now, so we're going back and doing that. So I'm kind of jumping all over. I had heard, what did I hear last week? I use Shazam a lot. So I grab stuff when I'm in the grocery store or wherever I am, and there's some new songs on. But last week I heard, I think you were talking about Kendrick Lamar has got some new stuff out, and I heard a new song of his. It was really great. It was really interesting to me. I think Post Malone's brilliant. I think he can, there's nothing that guy can't do. Like I'm sure 20 years down the road, he's probably going to do every style of album possible and make it work. I'm sure that's on his radar, and he'll be able to do it because he does it honestly, and he's able to do it. Like he's not just kind of posing as something. He's actually, like the country thing he's doing now, he's into it. Like he is so buried
And
in
I
that
think it's
culture.
similar to what you were talking about. Yeah, like it was his early life, I think,
Yeah.
like growing up
Absolutely.
in Texas. And I think that's probably a similar situation where he consumed a lot of country music and then got into obviously the other genres and stuff that he's done. And yeah, what an interesting guy he is.
Yeah.
I've been following his career since the start, and yeah, I love his music. It's a lot of it is not the most conscious music. It's a lot of party songs, upbeat, but there's some heavy darker tunes in there that are good. But yeah, his writing is awesome, and seeing what he's doing in the country sphere is super cool to see. We were hoping to possibly make a trip to Toronto to go see a show next spring, but yeah, it's a little tickets are a little pricey for old Posty. Yeah.
No kidding. No kidding. And an interesting, like his interesting story with Bieber and the whole thing, how he, got the slot opening for him. And, it's just really, really kind of cool.
I remember just seeing Bieber in Saskatoon in, I think it was 2016. And I was asking, who's the opener? And I didn't know. I should have probably known, but coming to find out is Post Malone.
Yeah.
And they didn't even get there to see him. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. Well,
he only had the 1 tune at White Iverson, but to see what he's came from that moment is crazy. Now we're trying to spend $250 a ticket to go see him in Toronto. So
exactly. And Bieber saw him busking somewhere and wanted him to open for him. And Post Malone went up just with his acoustic guitar and opened these stadium shows for Bieber. And that was his beginnings. It's just crazy, but he's such a normal guy. He's just such a human. He just really wants to learn about music and be part of music. And he's right in. Obviously it's a business, but he's very, very attached from the inside on everything he's doing, and he's doing it with full intent. He's not. Sure. A lot of people thought the country record was just sort of a spoof, and it's a very, very good record.
Yeah,
it's a
I like
well-produced record.
I like it for sure.
Very good songs. Any artists that are part of stuff with him want to be part of stuff with him, like Dolly Parton and all these artists that are part of it.
What a wild Dolly Parton feature song.
Yeah. She wanted to be part of it.
Yeah.
It wasn't, they didn't ask her and then throw a bunch of money at her to do it. They all wanted to be part of his thing, which is amazing. I love that. There's so many cool stories of music stuff like that over the I'm such a geek on that kind of stuff and those bits and pieces.
I was
stuff.
Listening to that. It came on the other day. The song with Dolly, have the Heart, and I was thinking, okay, I'm listening to Dolly Parton in 2024. Yeah, this album came out in this year, and I was just thinking back to how long she's been doing it, and I don't understand it.
Yeah,
it's crazy, but
it's insane. Well, she her story.
I don't know her story
exactly. It's a very interesting story because she was a kid and wrote some songs. And then had a solo career, and she was on this show with this singer. His name was Porter Wagner and stuff.
So what year would this have been?
This would have been late 60s. This Dolly Parton was right in the zone of listening as I was a kid. That was on the radio.
So is this Elvis?
Late 60s. Yeah, and she had moved to Nashville. She's from Tennessee, but she had went to Nashville to write songs. She had some songs she had written and went there to pitch these songs. And they liked her singing and her stuff. And then she ended up working with this Porter Wagner guy and ended up doing her own thing. But as a kid, she has a song called Jolene. Do you know the song Jolene?
Absolutely.
So it's a very minor sounding, dark sounding song. Mm-hmm. And my mom couldn't stand that song. But I think it was just too anything minor kind of was a little too spooky.
Yeah, made you
so mom didn't like it. Nah,
bit.
She didn't really like it.
Yeah.
She didn't really like it. But then she had another song called I Will Always Love You.
Yeah.
That Whitney Houston had a smash hit with in the 80s. Gigantic hit. 80s, 90s? I can't remember when she recorded that. But the story was, and I heard an interview with her, that those two songs were written in the same week of time. And they're two completely opposite stories.
Wow, that's wild.
One is I Will Always Love You, and she was leaving this show with this Porter Wagner guy who really helped her career out.
Yeah.
But she needed to get out and do her own thing. Yeah. So she wrote this song for him as sort of a tribute. She didn't know how to say to him, I'm leaving the show, but she wrote this song for him. And then Jolene is the opposite story about a female. It's who would write that? And I think she was 18 when she wrote these songs. Crazy. And then her career just kind of kept going, and she built this empire. Like when you were a little kid, we went on a road trip to Tennessee.
Yes,
you were 2.
Well, I don't remember it,
but we went to Pigeon Forge, where she's from. And we went to the theme park there and stuff, and Dollywood it was called.
Yeah.
And that's But she's had this gigantic career, and she's like the nicest. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, she's featured on a song with
Post Malone. Exactly. She's a legend.
Crazy, absolute legend.
She's a legend. But that's stuff like when I hear those names, I'm like, man, I'm flashing back to 1204 Royal.
Yeah.
Being in the kitchen with CKRM on.
Right.
So that's kind of nutty. So one thing on music that just for the listeners, I believe, and maybe people could prove me wrong on this, but if you actually research this, I think one of the biggest years of music, and if you look at all the music made in this one year, it is absolutely astounding. And there was many of them, but I honestly believe 1977, I was 8 years old, 1977 was a year that I think music won't see a year like that again. In the late 60s, obviously with Motown, there was a lot going on. But 77 really had something special in the heavy stuff, in like Fleetwood Mac Rumors, which I'm a huge Fleetwood Mac fan, and that album is insane, probably one of the best records ever. But 77, if you look that up, it's a really interesting year of all the different musics. Heavy, disco, the pop stuff was starting, the synthesizers were starting to come into play. It's a very interesting sort of thing that went on in 1977. Just to pass that along, like as listeners. And I'm sure maybe someone your age might go, no, it was 99 or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. But it's interesting now with access to all this info we have, when you look this up, you can find out so much about what went on in that timelines, which is really kind of cool.
That's super interesting.
Yeah.
I know one of the go-to playlists on the golf course me and my buddies always put on when we're golfing is the 70s rock essentials.
Yeah.
Because there's so many classics.
Oh
and
my God. It's insane.
It's something we can all kind of relate to and sing along with. And but 1977, I'll have to
77 is an interesting year. And a lot of those songs now, like from the 70s, well, the 80s now too, but a lot of artists are sampling them and using bits of those songs because they're so good. Like I just heard a Dr. Dre Snoop, I think they've got a record coming out, and Free Fallin' by Tom Petty was embedded in one of the songs. And it's just really interesting when you kind of break that down. I'm always kind of like a geek about that kind of stuff in the music and sports too. Obviously there's years of sports you could look at and go, that year was huge, whatever. But music, 77 was a big one for me.
Yeah. No, I'm just looking at Fleetwood Mac's Rumors album. Yeah. That's so awesome. I remember Fleetwood Mac holds a special place in my heart. That was my Sunday night when I had my insomnia attacks going on and stressing myself out. I remember you putting on, I don't know if it was Rumors or what album.
It's probably Greatest Hits. It was a Greatest
Hits.
Yeah.
So like those, I think were like subconsciously like ingrained in me. Now I listen to them all the time. Like I go back and listen to
it's good music.
Rumors and I always mispronounce it, but Rhiannon, absolutely. So many good songs. Don't Stop on like that record was, and that record shouldn't have happened because the band was imploding. That's a whole other story. But it's an amazing, amazing album. It's an amazing record. But 77 is a very interesting year, and it's the year my wife was born. But it's a very interesting year. So when I think about stuff like that, it makes me think about things, music or whatever, some things that inspire us as human beings. Yeah. Because everybody has inspirations, right? Everybody has things that that inspire them, that are around them every day. And music can be one of them, can be a huge part. Sports obviously can be a huge inspiration. The Trey Turner thing and stuff, that could be a real big part of it. But I always find like family, like you guys, man, I like, it's funny with family how you're seeing this now, but now you're accountable to someone else. And, you've got to sort of answer. And if I do something and you guys question it, I'll be like, this is fantastic. They're questioning what I'm doing. They should question what I'm doing, but I'm accountable to you guys as your father, right? It's just hilarious. But that's inspiring to me. I look at that and go, I will play better on a gig. I will work harder at things. I will do my very, very best and a little extra, I think, because you're accountable in the sort of inspiration category. Yeah. I think most of us can relate to having your family be your central source of inspiration. I'm certainly finding that, and it's definitely heavy to think about, that you're responsible for someone else, and you obviously want the absolute best for them. And I know right now I'm kind of like feeling, I think it's pretty normal for fathers to feel like maybe you're not doing enough for your kids, but I think that's just a push of what your kids give you, or
of course,
or your source of inspiration gives you. And yeah, there's nothing more motivating than your child, of course, and making sure that their needs are met, and want them to succeed and have a fulfilling life. So that's got to be number one, and that's something that's relatively new for me. I did look to family previously to inspiration, obviously. And I know, like, obviously you and mom are great sources of inspiration, but my grandparents, I keep going back to that because they're so ingrained in my brain as such a core people in my life. Like, they kind of raised me with you guys, obviously, but the time spent and the things learned with my grandparents, I'll never forget to the day I die. And
well, and I look at that now. Now I get to look at that side of it and go, I hope I could do that for Scott.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I have that lesson there, and I'm going, man, that was a pretty high bar, but I'm willing to, like, try to get there because that was pretty good. I think it was and those things are so huge. Like, you look at the not material things, but that are around us, like music and social media, all these things you could take in. But there's so much inspiration just in our own backyard of things.
Yeah,
right? Yeah, it's great. You guys had a great lesson set with the grandparents.
Yeah, and absolutely.
Grandpa Don, man,
yeah, absolute legend.
Yeah,
and
guaranteed.
Grandma Platt.
Yeah,
she's just such a special lady, and Selma as well. So many amazing memories with her and Grandpa Harold. Such those two guys, so hardworking and family oriented, and really just worked to provide the lives of their family. And it's fun to reminisce on that, and definitely inspires me. And then now I'm transitioning into fatherhood, where it's like, okay, I need to do this. Like, I need my baby girl to have everything that I had, and hopefully more. And there's nothing more inspiring than that, I would say. But
no. And you guys are doing that in spades with the time. And again, it's time, right? Like, it's really funny how you look at so many things, and over a span of years, and you don't recall all the, maybe you recall some of the trips, or you don't recall the money spent or whatever. You recall all the times of, like, just doing things and spending time together and doing, like, especially, like, Christmas coming up, and the sort of traditions that went on, and the planning, and but you get more excited about, like, everybody being together, because that's sort of like the big thing now. And especially with Scotty, like, she's little and she won't really remember this, but she'll know that people are around, and there's all this kind of thing going on, all the time in her world, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. And inspirations are really funny. It's a funny thing. Like, it's really funny how people forget about that, especially in the day-to-day work and everything, and social media, and just wrapped up in all the stuff going on, all the keep up of life. But it's really important to sit down and kind of go, what inspires me? Like, what really, like, gets me, like, fired up?
Yeah, there's levels to it too. I mean, I know when I'm needing some, if it's physical motivation or get something done at work, I look to music, as I said, as we've kind of noted, to kind of fire me up a bit and give me some energy. But on a deeper level, something that I reflect on greatly now is being a dad, and wanting to do the best for her. So it's family is obviously a big part of our lives, and I know many others will share the same sentiment.
I agree. 100%. Well, what do you figure? Episode 3?
I think we can close the book on episode 3. Yep.
Yeah, I like it.
That was a good chat today.
Very good. we'll be back with everybody in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
Hey,
I think we will see you before the holidays, and hope everyone gets your put the finishing touches on their Christmas lights, and you're not up there in 40-kilometer winds trying to battle the red bulbs like
stop
someone
the
I know.
damn things from blinking.
Yeah.
Stop the blinking.
Mr. Clark Griswold over here.
There you go. Go watch some Christmas movies.
Absolutely.
Take care, y'all.
See ya.